Hello YouTubers, Trans Atheist here again. Thank you for watching my channel. Please like, share and subscribe. Your support means the world to me. In this video I want to talk about attitudes towards religion and towards religious members. Firstly about my own feelings on the subject, and then about general attitudes on the subject. I've made a few videos now, and in all the material have not really made my personal position on the topic known. Obviously I have mentioned that I'm an atheist, and have mentioned that to me this means I've not been provided with the evidence that can convince me of the existence of God. My experience with religion, i.e. what I went through with Jehovah's Witnesses, was extreme to say the least, and the way and manner that I have spoke about my experience may lead some to assume that I have a hatred of religion. This is not the case. Yes, I do not agree with religion, and I do think that there are many bad aspects of religion, and that some religions do way more harm than they do good. But religious freedom is a major human right, and it's also a human right that is very justified. Each human should be allowed to make their own choices, as long as those choices do not harm others and their freedoms. So I'm not a hater of religion by any means, and if people want to follow a religious belief, then that is completely their choice, and I respect that choice. All I ask in return is that I be allowed to challenge certain beliefs and doctrines in a peaceful and logical debate. This does not mean that I will seek out religious people to argue with, but if a theist comes to preach to me, or puts their beliefs in front of me as fact, then I will try to logically argue against that, and try to point out any fallacious reasoning that is presented. I wouldn't be doing this to convert them to atheism though, only to get them to think. Now, I do believe that certain religious practices do need to be abolished. For instance, child indoctrination, as these practices are extremely damaging to children and others' ability to think. I'm writing a video now covering the issue of child indoctrination, so I'll not go further into that right now. Another practice I feel should be reviewed is the practice of certain religions getting politically involved. This is also damaging in a democracy, where large groups of religious people are told or convinced to vote a certain way, simply because that's what God wants them to do. This is taking away the freedom of the vote, and is in my opinion undue influence. Also, religions getting involved in science is another very damaging thing. There's a place to teach religion, and that place is in the church, not in the universities, which are places for critical thinking. And when certain religious leaders, like for instance the Pope, try to make edicts saying that scientists aren't able to research certain avenues of discovery, then again that is very damaging and in my mind very wrong. Now that's my thoughts on religion, but as for cults being organisations that use behavioural control, informational control, thought control and educational control, and use these methods to demand complete allegiance to one group or to one man. These groups are a whole other kettle of fish, and I do feel that their powers need to be fought against. These groups should, for instance, in the case of Jehovah's Witnesses for example, not hold charitable status and tax exemption. They should be pursued by governments to be held accountable for any crimes that the organisation has committed. Now, as for the members of cults like Jehovah's Witnesses, I hold no ill will toward them, as I was once indoctrinated myself, and I feel that each witness is a victim to this organisation, just like any of us ex-JWs or ex-cult members were, and no hatred should be shown at all. I do not agree with anyone who harasses these people or aggressively looks for confrontations with witnesses. Which brings me on to militant atheism, which is definitely a thing today and has been for a while. For instance, in America, certain groups of atheists have joined together into what they call a church of atheism. This is a very dangerous route in my mind for an atheist to take, and their ideology and methods give the wrong impression of atheism in general. The majority of atheists, like myself, just want to do the best by humanity and live productive lives. But on a whole, we are given a bad name by the aggressive style of this other type of atheism. The only way to fight against religious indoctrination and dogma is education. We need to peacefully educate everyone with logic and reasoning, and then allow others to decide for themselves what they believe, based on logic, reasoning, and evidence. So finally, I want to say a few words to those waking up from religion. This is a massive step that you are taking, and I know it can feel hard at times when you realise that certain beliefs that you sometimes held these beliefs for all of your life, don't hold up to logical reasoning and critical thinking. And myself and others like me think you were very brave, making the right choices. But please, if you need the support of others who have been through the waking up process, there is tons of support networks out there. So please join one of these networks, as this will be very helpful to you. I myself would like to invite anyone who needs somebody to talk to, or wants to ask any questions, or simply needs some friendship and advice. Please comment below, or join my Discord server, which I will leave a link to in the description. And I will be very happy to help where I can. So thank you for listening, and as always, remember, ignorance is never bliss.